Hey, it's Mr. Johns. Welcome back to Planet Zoo. I wanted to share something with you that I find is super useful, and that is when you start a new zoo, you don't have to use the standard entrance. I mean, in my opinion, the entrance to the zoo is kind of the key of the whole thing. So I'm going to start a new sandbox zoo, just new zoo, create a new zoo. I'm going to try, I don't know. I usually pick temperate. Be cool to do something different. Let's try Taiga. Is that how you pronounce that? That's the biome. And then the continent would be North America. So I think it's kind of a mix. I don't know. I always choose North America because that's where I live, but let's try something different. Let's do a flat terrain, called it Taiga Zoo. That's fine. Create zoo. Boom. And there's a few things that I'll do in this video. One is I'm going to replace the entrance. Two, I'm going to change the weather and the time of day. So down in the lower right corner, yeah, I love that. This is cool. Okay, so great terrain, kind of in a bowl. The question I always ask: where do the people come from? Right? There are some scenarios, some terrain, some maps, I guess they would be called, that you just know people could never get there. They'd have to fly in by helicopter, And even here, it's questionable, but you can kind of picture there's a road that comes in. This is not much different than something like Yellowstone. So I get it. So that helps my brain figure out that, yeah, this would be a realistic zoo. In the lower right corner, if you click on the time, you also see that there's a temperature, but if you click on either one, it brings up the same thing. It defaults to shuffle, so it's kind of random, right? While I'm designing, it is a pain in the butt for it to rain or snow and get dark and foggy. You can't see. So one of my favorite things to do is turn off weather. Also, we want to make sure it is just middle of the day, and we'll call it good. Okay, you can really see what the lighting effects do in this game. Look at the shadows. If you wanted to study shadows, if you're a painter or someone who draws, an artist, you can study what the shadows do here. I mean, just amazing. The lighting effects in this game have always completely, I mean, look at that. There's the sun. Have always completely blown me away. Look at that. Just beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. But when you're designing, you kind of want some light. So that's one of the first things I do. Now, secondly, this is the standard entrance, which is so boring. What's important to know is all you have to have is an entrance and a spawn point. So there's the entrance. Let me slide over a little bit. You get two gates. Those are both in. By the way, there's really no out. But those are both ins. And if you're not really sure, let's see if I can get around the other side and get in here. Go through the building. Can I go through the building? There we go. You see the arrows. Those are both entrances, and you pay your ticket or whatever and put your whatever you do. I don't know how you pay here. If you put your credit card in there or it kicks out a ticket, I don't know. Regardless, that's how you get in. Second thing, a spawn point. So you have to have the entrance and you have to have a spawn point. So the building, you can see these are called spawners. If you were playing the financial part of this game, franchise mode, or something other than sandbox, these are super expensive. I think $150,000 or something each. I'm in sandbox mode. This game is hard enough as it is, in my opinion, for me. Not necessarily difficult, but just challenging in so many ways. I don't want to be burdened by not having enough money. Story of everybody's life, right? But in this case, I'm just going to say I'm a billionaire and I have unlimited funds, and I'm going to build the ultimate zoo. There's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I can always turn that off later. I can see if I can make money and then go from there. A lot of people who play this game and the YouTubers that I watch that are serious about this game, they just they're just so good. I'm sure they have dozens of zoos they play all the time. They just bounce from zoo to zoo to zoo to zoo, and they are just playing around with so many multiple things, and they know all the tricks. I don't know any of them. I just pointing out some things here that I suggest. So, and I would love to start playing this game more and get good at it, but I lose interest quickly. If you follow any of my videos, you know that about 2 weeks is my kind of my my limit where I lose interest. So, and I have to switch games. But I would love to start a zoo and stick with the zoo. This game came out in 2019, I believe, and there's people who still have their zoos on YouTube who started that zoo in 2019, and they just tweak it, moving around, but it's still the same zoo. That's pretty amazing. So, okay, enough said there. I've got these spawn points. Now, notice the spawners are outside the zoo perimeter. That's interesting. But the ticket booth is across in the zoo area. So that's important to note, that your spawn points do not have to be actually on the property, because they spawn outside the property and they enter your zoo. So now I could go custom here and build. By the way, you can move these spawn points. You just go over here to move, and I can move it wherever I want it. Oh, now it's not letting me place it again. That's funky. So I moved it, and then now it says obstructed. That's awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. So that's crazy, right? Why would it move and then not just go right back? So let me see if I can move this one. Now I'm curious. No, you can't. That is dumb. So it's just dumb. Okay. So what they basically have is 2 spawners on each side to create enough people to go through each entrance. Okay. Now I could Control D. No, I can't, because it still says I'm obstructed. So I just think that is dumb. So there are some quirky things about this game. One of the path system. The path system has always driven me crazy. As a matter of fact, I quit playing it once or twice just because of the path system. But it's little things like this. Like, why would you not? I mean, I just moved it, and now it's saying it's obstructed, which is ridiculous. So you can also delete things with this huge delete tool, and of course you can change the size of it. So you can delete. Now I can delete pieces and parts. Boop, boop, pathways, things like that. But it's not loving me. It's not letting me. I can delete that and that. It will not let me delete this. Watch this. It'll say, sorry, you have to have at least 1 guest spawner. So it knows you have to have at least 1. So I find it interesting that you can't simply delete this. You know, it's crazy. So you can delete everything else except for this pad, which is dumb. So in other games I've played, in other zoos I've played, I was able to delete this. Why today it's not letting me do it? There's just some random weird, I don't know what it is. So what I wanted to show you was, yes, you could design a complete structure. You can move this stuff around, but you could design your own entrance and make it just amazing. But if you own the game and you go into the Steam, Steam, where you normally would hit play, you can also go into Workshop and download for free thousands of things that other people have made and shared. So there's a whole community of people who are just so great and willing to share what they've created. And then here under Blueprints, if I go over here, I can click on the Steam Workshop, and this brings up, these are all things I've downloaded from other people who are way more talented than I am with this for sure. And this right here is called the Standard Entrance Renovation. And I just watched the YouTube video of the guy who created it. And it was his first modern building that he had created in Planet Zoo. So it comes with everything you need. I'm going to have to put it out a bit, I believe, to clear probably the whole entrance. Now I wonder if, yeah, I can place it there. Now it's up in the air because there's like subways right here. And this, when they say classic entrance, this is a renovation, an improvement on the classic entrance. So what we have here are underground. And so down there is a spawn point. As a matter of fact, if I go to terrain and paint and short grass, I can click that. You can see the spawn points right there. So the illusion is there's a subway system, which I love. Let me see if I can get over here too. Because let's get that grass out of there too. The illusion is people can get here, right? So we'll pretend that there's a parking garage somewhere or there's a way to get in. But regardless, the game can start right here. And am I losing a little bit of room right here by not having it right on the edge? Maybe, but it doesn't matter. So the zoo starts here. Now, why there's why he designed it right here? This is an entrance to this color of sidewalk is a staff sidewalk only, and this is an entrance to a habitat. So I think maybe he's just kind of sharing that, hey, this is how you could you could put a habitat right here, but that's for me to decide. So I'm going to delete that. Also, there is an invisible fence around it, as you can see. That's what that is. It's called a null barrier. So there's a barrier. I don't know why I'd want one here. You could put animals in here, I guess. Maybe. So a null barrier keeps animals in, but there's actually no physical barrier. And you use that in places like rivers, places where they're not going to cross anyway. The question is then, why would you want one, a null barrier? But there are situations for that. Okay, let's take a look at this entrance. So first thing you notice, like right here, this you would think this is where people walk in. Let's get rid of that tool. But remember, that's not true. So that's why this thing is here, because they come up. Those are lights. So at night, this whole place looks awesome. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's go ahead and go back to our time of day. And let's change to night. Watch this place come alive. So, really amazing. And here's another reason I'm not going to spend weeks doing this myself. He went to all the trouble of putting in all these lights, and it's just great work. And while I hate to utilize the work of other people for my zoo, I've never really created a successful zoo yet. So I'm going to utilize the expertise of other people for some of the habitats, some of the buildings, and my job is to put it all together and make it into an amazing zoo. So it's like I'm the billionaire, I'm hiring the architects and the zoo experts, right? It's what I would do anyway. I'm just the billionaire. So I hired this guy, and he came in and made me this amazing entrance, which is just flipping cool. So people will show up, they'll come up here, and they'll go in here, and they'll enter. Now, all I have to do is now create the zoo. So all I have to do is create the zoo. There's a billion things to do after this. My checklist of things I need to accomplish is very long. But I'm happy with this entrance. Let's go back to daytime now. Doesn't look as great. I love the lighting at night. But now, why is it elevated? It's elevated because, and I have, by the way, moved the whole thing. You just go to this tool where it's multi-select, drag a box around it. You can move the whole thing, except for the terrain, off to the side and lower it down. But the problem is, there are sunken features underneath the subways. You can see them right here, so you can see why this is elevated. You've got all these features underneath the roots of the trees, some of the structural elements, and that's why it's raised, if you were wondering why it comes in like that. So if I were to put it flat on the ground, there would be no subway, and the spawn points would have to be flat on the ground, and they could just pop up here. The people could pop up right here and just start walking in, which should be fine. I mean, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like this. I think it's going to look better with them coming up from like a subway system. And how am I going to, I will work with the terrain so it doesn't look so dumb like a big rectangle. I'll modify it and model it so it fits in better. And then I'll start adding zoo elements. So super excited to get going on this zoo. Come back and join me. It could be a long-term effort. Let's hope. Let's hope. Regardless, it'll be fun to see how this thing progresses. I did buy a $10 DLC last night called the Barnyard Animal Pack or something like that. It comes with a whole bunch of animals as well as new buildings and a scenario that is added in and a bunch of little barn type of farm elements. Bales of hay, wagons, little things to make like a petting zoo. So my intention is maybe to have a petting zoo pretty close to the entrance. The reason that makes sense is if you got little kids, and I mean, look at how much room this zoo could be massive. You could spend, 2 or 3 days like the San Diego Zoo walking around the place. You'd have to be in pretty good shape and pretty fit, able to walk that far. Or I'll have transportation systems like if you click on facilities and then transport rides, I can have gondolas, trains, boats, monorails, or an adventure 4x4 adventure rail. I mean, that's good, but you can't, it's hard to get those in where you can see every animal. But I will have those as well. That's one of my goals, is to have maybe each of those or maybe a couple of those. But when you have little kids, you may only get as far as the petting zoo. So, and if I have a really awesome petting zoo, that would be worth the price of admission. So the families with little kids would come in and see this big kind of farm area. And then from there, we'll go from there. I don't know. The goal is to make the habitats as cool and realistic and good for the animals as possible. And there are so many animals to choose from. So, hey, come back and visit my zoo soon. I'm excited to get going, and I could waste days, weeks and months on this game pretty easily. It's super fun. If you haven't checked it out yourself, you can find it on Steam. It is called Planet Zoo. I'll catch you next time. For now, Mr. Johns is out.